He did the Monster Mash.
The Monster Mash.
Yes,
The Mash.
He did the Monster Mash.
The Monster Mash.
How's it going, everybody? What's new? All right, what happened last night? Everyone's wondering what happened last night. There was supposed to be a show. Jim had a show scheduled. It was supposed to be a late night show. It was supposed to be there. Well, shit happens. All right. Bottom line is, it was like a two-way front thing. My grandson just didn't want to go to sleep last night, and it was like midnight, and he was still awake. So I was like, I can't. I didn't even, didn't even start. I was going to start, but I would have actually started at 10. I was planning on starting at 10, and I would have probably been able to do it at 10 and do a show, but, well, I don't want to just suffice it to say that I had spoke to some people and things were arranged and things didn't work out the way they were supposed to. And then, so I just decided to take the night off. A lot of people were expecting to see me on with Joe tonight. I was going to be on with Joe tonight. He called me and texted me, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to even stream tonight. So I told him I had set up a stream and I didn't want to be a damper on his show if my grandson wakes up and comes in the room or something happens if I have to stop. So I just told him to, let him do what he's going to do and I'll do what I'm going to do. And then if he wants to send me the link, maybe I'll end the stream and jump over there or something. I don't know. But anyway, let's see who's here tonight. We've got Jules is here. She says, hi, Jim and friends. I won't be awake for you to tell me things tonight, but I look forward to telling you on replay tomorrow. Have a great stream. Oh, yeah, that's right. Hit the like and subscribe. That's right. We are only like 2 subs away from 1,600. Well, we were 2 subs away from 1,600. Now we're 3 subs away from 1,600. So if people wanted to subscribe and business like that, get us past 1,600 on YouTube, that would be great. And Mr. G.S. Sharkman's here. Hi, everybody. Jonathan Marcus says, good evening, Jim. We're looking forward to great news updates. Thanks for your coverage. Well, I appreciate it, too. What the F? What's up? How's it going? I hope you're having a great evening, too. This guy says, yo, chat's quiet. And, bring real viewers instantly. Remove space. Okay. Your chat's a ghost, man. Ghost Town vibes. Okay, whatever. Cool. Mm-hmm. Hey, Jim and the Jim Somniacs. Hey, Sharon Taylor. How's it going? Audra. Hey, y'all. How's everyone? Yes, I'm good. And then hi there, Sharon Taylor. Hey, Catherine K. Hi, Jim and the Jim Somniacs. That's good. What the F? Can you believe tomorrow's Halloween? Captain Z says, hello, everybody. This one says trick or treat. Was Jim on last night? Well, I kind of went through that. I was supposed to be on, but then the show got canceled at the last minute. And I hope everyone's doing well. Steve Hilliard, how you doing? Seems like things are heating up in the political world. May God bless you and yours. Oh, you too. Renee Collins says, hi, everyone. How you doing? Tim Moore's son, good. Day off. Yep. SB Farmer, how you doing? Pam Graham's here. Kevin, what's up, man? How you doing? Nice to see you. That makes sense. I thought I didn't get a notification. I missed it. No, it was supposed to be like an 11:55 show, and then it didn't work out. So that's why I think from now on, what's up? I think from now on, it's going to be 10 o'clock unless it's something happens and then where I have to change. I'm not going to try to do anything for other reasons anymore to like work around anything. It'll just be for me. So, Kevin says, I'm heading to Florida this weekend. How far are you from Boca? About an hour away. About an hour from Boca. So. First story. Oh, everyone needs a day off once in a while. Yeah, I know. But yeah, so first story of the evening. Before we get into first story of the evening, I want to remind everybody that there is a goal, as there is every night. There's a goal. And that goal tonight is for every $75 that comes in, there will be a additional hour added to the show. And at $75 also, Bellavision gets activated. But if, for some reason, somebody donates an individual donation of $25 or greater, it's instant, automatic Bellavision for the night. Or once we reach $50. So that's the new thing, is it's to be $50 for Bellavision, not 75. So I lowered it to 50 from 75, and then, but any individual donation is $25. So that's where we're at with that. So let's do that. And there, just so everyone knows, there. We'll say there she is. See, she's there. She's right there, just chilling with her little baby. So that's what we'll do. All right. And then yeah. So got this and just the stage. There we go. This way. All right. I think that's good. Man, my microphone looks really big today. Can I move it or something? What's going on? Everyone can hear me good. Pay tributes to the YouTube gods. That's right. I believe I already shut the ads off. Let me double check. Yes, they're off. Ads are off. We're here. We're talking. We're walking. We're walking. We're walking. All right. So first story of the evening. Thieves in reflector vests steal $3.2 million from a New York City home in a brazen burglary, according to the cops. So somebody had $3.2 million in their house in New York City, and some thieves in reflector vests just burglarized it in broad daylight, stealed the money. Anyone say inside job? You know, I mean, they had to have known. You know, I mean, you don't just get lucky and stumble across a house that has $3.2 million in it. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, Cam Graham says, let's pray the government opens back up. My son's been furloughed, not getting paid. The Democrats have voted 15 times to keep the government shut down. They're doing it specifically for political reasons. They're trying. At first, everyone thought they were holding out for till these No Kings rallies. There was talks of that, but now they're holding out. It looks like until the election on Tuesday, because they're trying to use this to get votes in Virginia and New Jersey to try and keep those governor seats. I don't know, man. It's just there's some talk about some stuff because some judge is trying to basically think that she could tell Trump he has to pay. Like, they don't have the money to pay it. This is a weird situation with the SNAP stuff. It's like you can't only pay part of it, and they don't have enough money to pay a whole month. And the stuff that would take to go through, like, who decides who doesn't get the SNAP funds then if you don't have enough to pay? It's like 6 billion a month or 7 billion a month in SNAP, and they only have 4 billion in this emergency fund. So it's like that's crazy. Just got back from doing a big shopping trip. Have no intention of being near a store when the SNAP pauses. I'm gonna go to the store every day. I'm just gonna go buy, like, one slice of cheese, please, and just hope. I'm in Florida. Hope and pray somebody does something stupid. Oh, can I? Oh, can you send me your address, G Shark Man? Oh yeah, because G Shark Man only keeps 3.1 million in the home. Yeah, how many Republicans voted to open a government? That would be all of them. That would be all of the Republicans, and only in the House, not a single Democrat voted for the Clean CR. It was only Republicans, and now you got only citizens, no illegals. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, but how do you the amount of work to try to figure out who that is and do that stuff? It's crazy. Like, I don't know. I mean, the simplest way to solve this would be to just vote for the Clean CR and open the government. But hey, thanks, Jody. Thanks for being here too. But it's one of them things where I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I don't know how. I don't know. The Democrats think. I mean, everything I'm seeing looks they're losing water on this. They're you know, they're like the generic ballot for Congress. It's down to only +1 Democrat right now from +6 before the shutdown. So I don't know. Oh, and this stuff about the White House stuff, it's just crazy, man. Like, they're talking like, oh, they're demolishing the White House. No, they're not. So let's see. A trio of brazen burglars sporting construction vests busted into a Queens home. So this was just another. This was a home in Queens, had $3.2 million in it. There's way too much fraud everywhere, especially in the dumb areas. Oh yeah, and broad daylight made off with 3.2 million, with cops hoping surveillance footage can nab the crooks. Your banner is messed up? What do you mean? My banner is messed up. Oh, is it? Okay, let me look. I don't think so. All platforms when it gives my show. Letters are overlapping? Oh, okay, hold on. Oh, I use a different thing. Let me see this. Dial. Is that better? Maybe the letters were too big, maybe? I thought you were saying, like, Oswald. I don't know. That's better. All right. Hey, Pat Hacker, how you doing? Tell them to up their YouTube resolution. That fixed it. Okay. Letters are overlapping. Yeah. Why wouldn't you just have 3.2 million laying around a house inside a safe inside your house? They're having money trouble. However, you'd be amazing to have a great insurance payout. Yeah, it's crazy, to have that kind of money just laying around in a house. Yeah, it is. So, um, said the trio pulled up outside the home at 160th Street and 84th Drive in a blue Hyundai Elantra around 2:20 p.m. on Thursday, and the two vest-wearing thieves breaking in through a back door while the getaway driver wearing a white hoodie backed up in the driveway and waited. Police say they grabbed a safe and jewelry valued at more than $3 million and stashed it in the car, with all three then speeding away, and they're still on the loose. So this was a safe that was small enough for them to just pick up and get away with? I mean, this is crazy. He says, I wish I had $3.02. The two crooks who busted into the house were described as wearing black sweatshirts, black pants, black and gray sneakers, white construction hats, black backpacks, and each donned a Neo construction jacket. Oh, look at that. 5 arrested in OD death of Robert De Niro's grandson, Blondie co-founder's daughter, and massive pill fuss. So see, if some very famous person dies, they always go after the drug dealer. But if it's not, squatting nanny makes couples lavish when leaving our state farmers. Wow, these are some. The driver wore black pants, gray sneakers, black gloves. Like, this must not have been a very big safe. Was it AOC's house? Yeah. What fool keeps $3 million worth of jewelry in their house? We're saying $3 million worth of cash and jewelry. Like, but how big was this safe? Like, I'm just saying, like, if you have that kind of money worth of stuff, you should have a safe that costs 50 grand, 100 grand at least. And those kind of safes that cost 50 grand, 100 grand, you ain't moving them. Nobody's moving them. It's not getting moved. They weigh 10,000 pounds. They're not moving. You know what I mean? It takes equipment to move a safe like that. So, yeah, it wasn't Archie's Bunker's place for sure. Used to get into concerts by carrying a ladder with my friend. I mean, a lot of times people don't pay any attention, but I'm just saying, like, something smells here because you don't have that kind of money worth of stuff with this safe that these guys were just able to pick up and carry out. That's not really a safe. Calling something that they could just pick up and carry out a safe, it's more like a cash box or a firebox. Yeah, exactly. Not moving it and definitely not being able to see it outright. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, something not right. And they're saying they just picked up the safe and threw it into a Hyundai Elantra. No one was home at the house at the time and no injuries were reported. Oh. It's unknown why the thieves targeted the home and why there was so much valuable loot inside. Police are asking anyone with information about the culprits to call NYPD Crime Stoppers. Hey, Terry, what's up? Nice to see you. Yeah, insurance fraud. Could be. Yeah. And don't people draw interest on their money? Oh, I know, Jim, him. I'm a himbo, Jimbo. A couple stories. Inside job, definitely. Let's see what Fox News has to say. They say thieves disguised as construction workers steal $3.2 million in valuables from New York City home in broad daylight.
Here's why you should switch from Google to DuckDuckGo.
What is this, like a 27-second commercial? Really, jerks. Neighbors react to the thieves getting away with items worth $3.2 million. Brazen heist took place at a home in Queens on October 16th. Why are we just finding out about it now? Police in New York are searching for the 3 men responsible for stealing a safe and jewelry valued at $3.2 million from a home in Queens.
Well, it was actually the cops that rang my bell. I was here, and they asked if I had footage of the street.
What did you see on your footage of what took place?
I didn't know much. They told me what to look for. They knew already the color of the car. They knew the people that were going to go in there. So I just looked back on footage, but it was somewhat grainy on my side. Well, it doesn't feel good. It's a little bit feels unsafe, in the neighborhood. But it has happened before in other streets. So, but the cops were here right away, a lot of them, and they were really on it.
I
So,
did not hear
in
about that,
retrospect,
Pam Graham. I
you
did not
start
hear
to
about
think,
that.
oh, I
What
did
is
see
going
somebody
on?
sitting in a car there a few days ago. But we don't know anything until something happens, right? So.
Wow, this is crazy. Hold on a second. There's something weird going on because earlier today I posted something.
Here's
I posted something and it didn't. The heist happened at 2 p.m. Two of the men were disguised as construction workers. Yeah, so here's the pictures. Why does it do this?
here's why you should switch from
Seriously? Seriously? I did not hear. Where's that at, Pat Hacker? I want to see that. Did I hear about this? 2 sheriffs, 12 officers arrested Mississippi drug trafficking. No, I didn't, but I will look for that unless someone has a link. I would definitely like to see that story. Yeah, they look like Antifa. They're definitely Antifa. Or Uncle Tifa, one of the two. Hey, Hank. What's up, man? How you doing tonight? Mm-hmm. So here they are. It's like, oh, we're construction workers. Oh, they got a little thing too. Look like they're going to do some work. This guy backs in. They should have had a truck, though. I mean, the fact that they knew that this Elantra was big enough, and they were able to just go and do this, and he's just going to chill. To me, like real quick, like boom, boom, boom. They got the safe. They're in and out. Like, how did they get? Yeah, that's not a safe. That's a firebox or something, like a little firebox, a Sentry firebox or something. They got. That's crazy. That's just nuts. I don't know. The borough also made highlights when self-described socialists. All right, whatever. I don't know this story. This is the local news. It didn't wait a car down enough either. Yeah, something smells. Something totally smells with the story. Something totally smells. Like they weren't even. How long were they even in there for? They went in. They knew exactly what they were looking for and came right out with it. Trick or thief. Burglars dressed as construction crew rob a New York City home for $3 million in jewelry. NYPD says they were posing as a crew. Yeah, so that's it. So, all right. So let's go. Since we're talking about New York, let's jump over to another story about New York. Here we got New York declares emergency over looming pause in food stamps. That's right. It's an emergency. They're declaring a snap urgency. They're worried that there's going to be a snapocalypse and that we're going to experience the snap wars have begun. Investigate the homeowner's finances. It might be enlightening. It might be, hey, Ag, how you doing? Nice to see you tonight. Oh. New York declares emergency over looming food stamp pause. We were going to go as Biden, but you couldn't find anyone that would go as the rabbit to show me the way back home. Do they take notes? It's the same cruise as thieves in France. It's possible. Pat says $1 million isn't what it used to be. New York Governor Kathy Hochul on October 30th declared a state of emergency. So it's a state of emergency over SNAP benefits. That's interesting, ain't it? Ain't that interesting? It's a state of emergency over SNAP benefits. Caused by the government shutdown and lack of funding. The decision means that $65 million in state funds will be allocated for emergency food assistance to provide for the $40 million meals statewide, her office said in a statement. About 3 million people in the state receive SNAP benefits, commonly known as food stamps. Yeah, that can't be cash, maybe diamonds. Maybe. He said something about jewelry and cash, so I don't know. In a statement, the Democrat governor says that the loss of SNAP funds is an unprecedented public health crisis and will harm farmers, grocers, and other stores across the state. Today, I'm declaring a state of emergency, and I'm committed to additional state funds for emergency food assistance to ensure that New Yorkers don't go hungry. The $65 million in state funding will include $40 million in new funding from Hunger Prevention and Nutrition Assistance Program. Why was I having trouble saying that word? Which provides emergency food relief and nutrition services to food insecure populations. The emergency order also directs the Empire State Service Corps and the State University of New York Corps, which are both state-funded public service work programs for college students, to assist in SNAP registrations and other efforts. So wait, why would they need to register people for SNAP if they're already registered for SNAP? Greg says, SNAP parking lot pirates will be out in force at your local shopping centers watching our grannies load their groceries. Volunteer and observe. Stay frosty. Yeah, additional state funds, thanks. Well, this is crazy because they're going to have people, illegals. They're going to have people running around signing people up. So they're going to sign. Why would they be signing up new people to assist in SNAP registrations? Why would they need to? Don't they already have the names of the people getting the SNAP? I don't understand this. This doesn't make any sense. Why would they be signing up new people? The Empire State Service Corps will allow current members to expand their paid hours, enabling them to provide greater support at food pantries statewide. In addition, new short-term crisis response positions will be created to assist food pantries and food banks facing staffing shortages. SNAP's looming lapse in funding comes as the shutdown has lasted nearly a month, after members of Congress did not come to an agreement on how to fund the government. No. See, this you're fucking full of shit here. It's not that members of Congress didn't come to an agreement. It's Democrats are refusing to go along with it. Yeah, where are the Dem billionaires chipping in? Yeah. Democrats have said that any measure to reopen the government should include what they say are protections for health care, including an extension of health care subsidies that are set to expire at the end of the year. Republicans say that talks about health care should come after the government is reopened, which makes sense. Meanwhile, Democrats and Republicans, as well as the Trump administration, have traded blame over the lapse in SNAP funding. How? The Democrats are the one that refused to vote to keep the government open. They're responsible. Earlier this week, the Department of Agriculture warned that food stamp program is set to run dry and accused Democrats of obstructing the reopening of government. And other Democrats have blamed the Trump administration for the shutdown. Oh, okay. So the only way to blame them is to say because they won't abolish the filibuster, it's their fault, I guess. Other states have issued emergency orders regarding SNAP funding. Connecticut, Ted Lamont, a Democrat, said on October 27th that his administration will provide $3 million in emergency funding to a nonprofit to help residents. So just give money to NGOs and nonprofits. Yeah, that's really going to help. Delaware Governor Matt Meyer declared an emergency order October 29th, which he said will allow the state to redirect funds to food assistance during the shutdown. Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee made a similar declaration on October 28th, and Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin made one on October 23rd. If you re-enroll SNAP recipients with verifiable documents, probably would save the taxpayer $1 billion and stop the fraud. 25 states have filed a lawsuit against the federal government to keep SNAP's funding going past November 1st. Judge Indira Talwani, another foreign-born judge, told lawyers on October 30th in a hearing that the government can't afford to cover the program and that there's a process to follow rather than simply suspending all benefits. Well, if the government don't have the money to pay it, what does she think? They're going to take it from somewhere else? The steps involve finding an equitable way of reducing benefits, Talwani said in the hearing. That's not the fucking law. Who is she? Equitable way of reducing benefits. There is no money. If there's no money, you can't have the benefits. Holy fuck. The Trump administration has argued that it wasn't allowed to use a contingency fund with about $5 billion in it for the program, while a USDA plan from before the shutdown said the money would be tapped to keep SNAP running. Democrat states have argued that the contingency money would not only could be used, but it must be used. They said a separate fund with about 23 billion could be tapped. Heavy hold to declares a state of emergency for New York over SNAP funding freeze. Oh, let's see.
And this will be historic because this is the first government shutdown in our history where they did not make an accommodation for food. Every other one, they said, we can make our political points, we can do this, we can do that, air traffic controllers, flights are delayed.
That's a fucking lie, all right? That is an absolute lie. No other shutdown has gone this long. She's a fucking liar. It's never gone over a month before. So she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about.
Okay, that's all painful and bad. But never before have they literally said, we're going to stop feeding Americans. It's immoral for our federal government not to pay the workers who are showing up every day and being forced to rely on others' generosity. You hear federal workers, again, finding their way to food banks. And I believe it's immoral for individuals and families to have a safety net that they have counted on in their time of need, literally ripped away from them while Republicans play political games.
Oh, fuck you. Republicans ain't playing political games. It's you, cunt, and your fucking demon rat buddies. New York declares state of emergency to fund food banks as federal food aid is set to lapse. Doesn't New York City have food shelves? Yeah. New York declares a state of emergency.
Yesterday, the Community Food Bank of New Jersey held a food distribution event for federal workers at Newark Liberty International Airport. The group passed out fresh produce and pantry items to the federal workers. And on November 1st, which is this Saturday, people who have very little means and are enrolled in the...
Okay, I just want to point out something, too, just so everybody is clear on this. We passed out this food for federal workers. They haven't missed a paycheck yet. All the federal workers were paid for this month. Their first paycheck they're going to miss is November 1st. They haven't missed a paycheck yet. This is crazy. Holy fuck.
Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, known as SNAP, will stop receiving those benefits unless, of course, the government reopens. There are roughly 42 million Americans who rely on this food program. Not getting these benefits is catastrophic for these families and, frankly, disgraceful that our political leaders let this happen, that families will not be able to put food on their tables. And today, 25 states announced they are suing the U.S. Department of Agriculture for unlawfully suspending SNAP benefits during the ongoing government shutdown. The state leaders argue that the federal government's refusal to issue November SNAP benefits violates federal law and will leave countless families hungry. Missouri Congressman and member of the House Appropriations Committee, Congressman Mark Alford, joins me. Nice to see you, sir.
Thank you, Greta. Thank you for having me.
You're not in the Senate, so you're not the one who's creating this voting problem. The House passed their continuing resolution, a clean one, quite some time ago. But, people who use SNAP benefits, they can't even afford to buy cable. They're not watching. It's really sort of, we're the people that sort of need to take care of them. And, and Congress needs to take care of them. And no member of the Senate is going to go without food tonight.
Well, and that is a sad reality that so many people are being held hostage by Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate. My fear is this is going to reach a conflagration point very soon. I hope not, but Chuck Schumer has poured gasoline on America. And my fear is that someone's going to light the match. I'm seeing things on social media now where people are threatening to steal groceries from people who have bought them at grocery stores, to raid grocery stores in America on November 3rd. I hope that does not come to fruition. But
hold on a second. Choosy says they had $40 billion for Javier. They didn't give him $40 million. They did a currency swap. It was an investment, a trade deal, and they actually made over 14% profit on that deal. So whatever, you can be upset about it if you want. But that wasn't money that they just gave away. It was an investment. They bought pesos and they made money because after Javier won, the market in Argentina skyrocketed. So actually made the treasury money. And the Treasury does that stuff all the time. The Treasury has money that it can use to make investments and backstop things and do stuff. They can't just take money. There's actual law that prevents them from using money that's for something else. You can't just take money that's for this thing and use it for something else. There's some kind of law about, because it's a certain amount of money to fund SNAP, they have to fund the whole thing. You can't just pay some people SNAP and not others. How do you decide who SNAP gets paid? If you know what I mean? If it's $8 billion a month for SNAP and they have $4 billion, whose money gets paid? How do they decide? They don't have enough to pay it, so they can't pay anybody's. $43 million on SNAP and a sign that policies of Dems are similar to C.S. Lewis' compassion type of tyrannical regimes. Demon rat plantation. That's right. 43 million Americans. Yeah, I know. We should sue all the Democrat members that voted not to open the government without SNAP kids are dying. Yeah, I mean, that would be the thing, right? But see, the judge knows that the judge can't order Congress to do something, but she thinks she could order the president to do something? Yeah, what happened to Greta Van Susteren? And she turned completely leftist. Yeah.
The simple matter of the fact is that Catherine Clark said it out loud, that this is the leverage that they want to get people on their side. I think, would be happy if something dramatic happens that would convince the American people that they're right and the Republicans are wrong. But I'm here to tell you, Greta, we are in the right on this. We did our work in the Appropriations Committee. We got all 12 bills passed, and it was not easy work. And Democrats had ample input on these bills, some 40 amendments on each bill. We got 3 passed on the House floor. Went over to the Senate. All we were asking for was 7 more weeks to get our job done. And the Senate, because of their fear, I think their pride and arrogance on the part of Chuck Schumer and others, has said, no dice, we're not going to go along with this. And here we are.
Yes, and of course, the people were struggling with high costs anyway before the benefit will get cut off on the first, so that's even, it's terrible. But let's assume that tonight they voted, the Senate somehow decided that, okay, we're going to vote the Democrats. We're going to get enough Democrats, peel off enough Democrats so the Republicans are able to pass a continuing resolution, a clean one. It is till November 21st, which is about 24 days from now. Can Congress get its work done between now and the 21st? So on the 21st, we don't have another shutdown or a fight over another continuing resolution.
That's been my question all along. For every day that we are in our districts, working hard in our districts, which Republicans are. I just drove up here from Kansas City. I didn't want to take a chance on flying, but needed to check on my staff. And I'm meeting with the chairman of the Appropriations Committee tomorrow, talking about this, among other things. We have the time. We can create what are called mini buses, not omnibuses, but group some of these remaining 9 appropriation bills together, and we can get this done if Chuck Schumer unlocks the key to the government and lets us do our work so that we can get back on track with regular order in America.
I have to.
Okay. All right. Let me get over this real quick. So, hold on. I'm going to come over here. Yes. Thank you for the 5. Adrienne and Javine says, SNAP hasn't missed a check yet, but the story was about handing out food to Fed workers who have missed 2 checks with a third due next week. I don't think they missed 2 checks yet. They get paid on the 1st and the 15th usually. The federal government, right? 1st and 15th, twice a month. And the check on the 1st of October went through. They paid everybody on the 1st. I swore that's what was said. So did they miss 1 check only? I mean, aren't they paid once a month, federal workers? Or are they paid twice a month? Anyway, but thank you for the 5. And with that, we are now $70 away from the first additional hour and $45 away from Bellavision. Oh, it says no. Feds get paid every 2 weeks. Military's first and 15th. I thought. Are you sure? Because I swore, like, I know people that even like people that work for local governments get paid for on the 1st and the 15th twice a month. Are you sure about that? Because I mean, everybody I know that works for the government gets paid on the 1st and 15th. Even like just city cops, state cops, they get paid on the 1st and 15th. The government was, and thank you for another 5. In the Navy, we got 1 check. Yeah, when I was in the Navy, was a Fed for 20 years, NSF and NAH. And Will Call says, I get paid on the 15th and the 30th. Got to replace the coils and transmission enforcement. Yeah, so I don't know. Anyway, so with that, it's another 5, and then okay, and then another 2. Thank you. So with that brings us to hold on, to $63 for an hour and $38 for Bellavision. And Done Your Business says, if they are so irresponsible that they're starving after missing 1 or 2 checks, we don't want them working in the government anyway. I mean, I know most of these people that work for the government make 6 figures, like 80, 90, $100,000 a year. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean, I know people are irresponsible. People don't plan ahead and all that shit, but man, I would think you should be able to, like, I don't know. I was in a union and I did, work and stuff, and we did get laid off, and there was times I didn't work for months, but you had to save. We had to have money put away so that you could buy, ride that time when, just saying, I don't know. Tim says, it's all drama. I'm sure there's 1 or 2 people who suffer, but majority not. I think some people might be taking advantage of it is the thing that I worry about. Like, some people taking advantage of this just to get free stuff and, like, they need to do something. And, because here's OAN says, New York declares state of emergency. State of emergency. Shutdown threatens SNAP benefits in November. Hank says a $3 tie gauge for eliminate for the TMPS. So they paid the feds for October. I think so. I thought they did. Because when they were saying, like, they were talking about the air traffic controllers, and they said in the thing that the air traffic controllers were set to not get paid as of November 1st. So, that's the thing. Like, as far as I knew, I don't know if anybody, like, did anybody miss a paycheck yet? Like, who missed a paycheck? I thought it was November 1st was when they were going to start missing paycheck. November, Kathy Hochul has declared a state of emergency to financially support food banks. Governor declared a state of emergency on Thursday, issuing $65 million to assist food banks. Here's the question: why doesn't she just give the money? Because SNAP, the funds come through the SNAP funds, and all this money does come from the federal government, but it goes through the states. The states administer it, so the states could always just pay it and then try to get reimbursed later when the government does get funded. I mean, are our states living paycheck to paycheck too from the federal government? I mean, is that really where we're at, that the states don't have the money, that they can't just float the money for a fucking month for SNAP? Our states don't have the money to support SNAP for a month? Really? Really? What does that say about our states? You heard Minnesota is doing that? Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. Like, the states could easily just say, well, we're just going to pay the money and then we'll get it later. We'll get reimbursed when the government is funded. Something. I don't know. Instead of now they're just giving 65 million to a food bank. You know, some kind of rainy day fund. Yeah. The libtard states don't have float. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. You should be able to float that for a month or two. The tire pressure monitoring system. Yeah. Yeah. The supplemental, the SNAP benefits were scheduled to reach 42 million Americans on Saturday, but the government shutdown has caused the program funds to run dry. Shows that the state of New York receives nearly 65 million from the federal, so 650 million from the federal government for SNAP every month goes to California or to New York alone. 615 million a month. Well, maybe they don't have that kind of float. Yes. They are living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have the reserve account, most likely because they spend it all on the illegals. Yeah. This SNAP scare tech is just another don't let a crisis go to waste. I'm starting to think that if the House and Senate representatives and Senate would forfeit their pay, that would cover SNAP. I don't think so. That math don't add up, Pam. I mean, there's only 535 members of the House and Senate, and the SNAP money is like $8 billion a month. So they don't make that much in a month. When you know what I mean, you're talking about even if they made $1 million a month, that would only be 500 million, not 8 billion. So that money wouldn't cover it. I get your point though. Maybe they would get around to doing their jobs, but what are you going to do? That wouldn't even cover just New York's 650 million. And they don't make $1 million a month. The people that work in Congress, they make a couple 100,000 a year. So it's like way off, way off. New York is not the only state that has put certain measures in place to avert hunger crises. Glenn Youngkin also said his state will pull surplus funds to cover one. Yeah, I saw California like a week or two ago that Gavin Newsom was activating the National Guard to go out and defend grocery stores and stuff. He was worried. Yeah. This House and Senate leadership are the highest paid. They make $160 a year. Yeah, so you're talking about what? What's that, like $12,000 a month? $13,000 a month? It's not, that's not even, you're talking about 50 million maybe 50 million a month. Maybe, if that, total. No, not even 50 million. Like fucking, 25 million a month total salaries for the House and Senate. Yeah, so SNAP benefits cost $8 billion per month. Senate Democrats have voted against the funding bill that would end the shutdown 14 times now. Trump administration, they'd rather starve children. Yeah, the Trump administration is starving children. Sure they are. And it's drawn from different money too, much like the courts. Yeah. Oh, here's some good news everyone might like. There we go. So just in, new story now. Just in, the Trump administration is cutting the annual refugee cap from 125,000 to 7,500. So that's right. Only 7,500 refugees are allowed to come to the United States now. No more 125,000 refugees a year, with most slots reserved for white South Afrikaners. Says each state, but them states are giving too much in SNAP benefits to illegals. That's right. When is that House and Senate salaries are going to get cut? Why are they still being paid? The Mormon Church could fund Utah easily. They have warehouses full of food and grains. Yeah. I think, Audra, the House and Senate salaries are never getting cut. I think it's one of those things where that money is one of them things where the money's going to come, like their money is I think their money is set aside in a separate pool of money or something like that, like where they're always going to get their money no matter what. It's a sad thing. Well, in my opinion, they are government employees. They should not get paid. Yeah, they shouldn't get paid, but the way that they set it up, because they're the ones that set the shit up, is they have a specific, their salaries, like their funding for the Congress, for like, because their what it is, their salaries plus all their other funding money that they get to pay their staff is all a separate fund amount of money that they get, that gets funded every year, and that money is immediately taken and put in a thing for them. Like, and so it's so no matter what, they get their money. They're always going to get their money. The Congress is always going to get paid, no matter what. Yeah, and the members have a separate account to pay off the sex offending lawsuits. That's right, and that's always going to get paid. It's carved in stone that they're going to get their money. That's right. It's carved in stone. It's the first thing they vote on in every new Congress. That's right. Immediately, our money, put it over here. So the admissions of up to 7,500 refugees to the United States during the fiscal year 2026 is justified by humanitarian concerns or otherwise in our national interest, the memo says. Mhm. Mhm.
Welcome. Welcome to the United States of America. It is such an honor for us to receive you here today.
No, the Congress does not use Obamacare.
We know that all of you have faced
Congress does not work Obama. Yes, Trump works for free. Yes, Trump gives his paycheck every time every paycheck he gives to different, like each year he signs it, or each whatever it is, month or whatever it is, he assigns it to a new, gives it to a new department or something like that. Washington state spends $100,000 a year per homeless. I used to make the annually as a union carpenter. Now retired, I live off less than $25,000. Oh, and I can get snapped $20 a month. Illegals are getting most. That's right. It sucks, man. The illegals are getting so much money from us. It's got to change. It's got to change. Anyway, this is an old video about the Afrikaners.
That flag symbolizes free, and one of the reasons that I really wanted to go full. It's, as you know, a lot of the story.
Well, this is basically they're bringing the Afrikaners in. My president keeps getting better and better. Thank you, Lord. Yeah. So this is breaking news. The Trump administration is restricting the number of refugees admitted to the U.S. to 7,500, and they will be mostly white South Afrikaners. Yeah, Congress is exempt from the ACA. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Congress is exempt. They're always exempt from the fucking laws they pass for us. And think about this too. The Affordable Care Act passed, and people spending on what you're spending on medical treatments and health care and insurance is more than doubled since then. More than doubled since the Affordable Care Act. Doesn't sound very affordable, does it? Does it? Mm-hmm. You heard about the $1.35 billion spent on owl killing? Oh, I can imagine. They're always spending money on some crazy shit. There we go. The Trump administration is slashing the number of refugees allowed in the U.S. and giving white South Africaners priority. Far fewer refugees will be allowed into the U.S. in the coming year, and most who will be admitted will be white South Africans who President Donald Trump has alleged face unjust racial discrimination in their country. Yeah, I think white South Africaners and then the the Nigerian Christians that are being genocided, those two can come in. But other than that, no one. Yeah, Congress is also exempt from no pay during shutdowns, non-funding. Yep, that's right. Joe, hey Joe, what's up? Nice to see you. The Trump administration will limit refugee admissions to 7,500 during the 2026 fiscal year, and announced in a notice published in the Federal Register on Thursday, a dramatic decrease from the 125,000 figure set last year under President Joe Biden. Right? Commissions will also be primarily allocated to South Afrikaners from South Africa. The notice said, as well as victims of illegal or unjust discrimination in their respective homelands. It pointed to an executive order the president issued in February in which Trump condemned South Africa for what it described as countless policies restricting the opportunities of Afrikaners and fueling disproportionate violence against racially disfavored landowners. Afrikaners, who are descendants of primarily Dutch colonial settlers who arrived in South Africa in the 1600s, governed the country from 1948 to 1994 and imposed racial separation laws known as apartheid. South Afrikaner officials have strongly disputed the claims that Afrikaners are the victims of racial persecution. There are sufficient structures available within South Africa to address concerns of discrimination. Moreover, if there are allegations of discrimination, it's our view that these do not meet the threshold of persecution required under domestic or international refugee law. That's what the South African says. Like, oh, it's not really discrimination. It's just what we do. It doesn't really qualify. And it's entirely politically motivated and designed to question South Africa's constitutional democracy. Trump administration said in a notice that it significantly reduced the number of overall refugees is justified by humanitarian concerns or otherwise in the national interest. Surprised nobody sued to say, you got to let in more refugees. You can't do this. That's what I'm surprised. I'm surprised. That's why I'm surprised. Oh, look, Black Lives Matter. Oh, Ukrainian refugees in the U.S. grapple with losing protected status. What do you know?
When Russia invaded Ukraine. Since then, the United States has taken in more than 200,000 Ukrainian refugees who were given protected status and granted work permits. Now those permits are expiring and not being renewed.
That's right. Time to
go.
go.
Reports the ripple effect on the communities where those refugees have settled is enormous.
Liana Avidisan and most of her family fled Ukraine in 2023 to build a new life in America's heartland.
What have you liked about Iowa?
People very kind here.
The state has become a lifeline.
This is your new community.
More than 75 Ukrainians have now resettled in the small town of DeWitt, Iowa, which calls itself the crossroads to opportunity. Angela Bolins has helped many of them find housing and a paycheck.
I get a phone call every week from employers saying, do you have anybody from Ukraine who needs a job? Because we have a workforce shortage in Iowa and our population has been declining.
To find people that want to work and take pride in their work to our standards is not easy. I want more Ukrainians if they want to.
More.
Absolutely.
Sam Hare runs this window replacement company and employed a VD.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa. Hank, with the 5 Jim Tells You memberships. And with that, let's see who got those memberships. What's going on? What is wrong with my chat? Why do I not see this in here? What the fuck is going on? There we go. Old School received the gift of membership. Colleen Haynes, Hollis, MJP, Patriot Wheel. There's one, and then Choosy. Choosy received a gift of membership. Still some weird stuff going on. Solid Link. I don't know what that means. Solid Link. So there we go. There's Bella. Let me fix Bella up too and fix the banner. Because that will put us at let's see here. That puts us $33 away. From an extra hour. And Bellavision is activated. Mm-hmm. No, you got Choosy too? Okay. He's blue. All right, cool. All right. There you go. Yeah. Welcome, peoples. Excellent point. Oh my God, I lived in that town. It was such a podunk place. Yay, Bella's here. Let me fix it though. I don't know. I might be jumping over to Joe's show. I don't know if he sends me the link or not. Said he was going to send me the link. We'll see what happens. Anyway. All right, there's Bella. Can you guys see her? Knocked her toy off, though. What'd she do that for? She's being real silly. Anyway. Okay, so Trump set the lowest refugee cap in U.S. history. Trump administration on Thursday announced it would set the lowest refugee admission cap in U.S. history, allocating just 7,500 spots for this fiscal year, mostly for Afrikaners, who it has claimed are facing racial discrimination in South Africa for being white. Well, a lot of them are been getting killed. I mean, doesn't that count as discrimination if they kill you? Right? Is getting killed a form of discrimination? What do we think? Do we think getting killed is a form of discrimination? I do. I would say getting killed is kind of discriminatory. So, I like looking at fat dogs as much as I like looking at fat women. Oh, she's not fat. My dog is not fat. Stop saying that about my poor dog. That's my baby. She's not fat. The previous lowest refugee ceiling was set by Trump in the first term in 2020. In 2020, when he allocated just 15 spots, 50,000 spots. I'm sorry, 15 would be nice though. It depends. Is murderer equal to opportunity? Is the murder equal opportunity? I don't know. Getting killed because you are white? Yes. I would think that's discrimination. It's just straight up murder. Yeah. I learned today that you only have to serve 15 years for murder today. Minors. Oh, Bella is fluffy. Mr. Trump. See, they're just so disrespectful. President Trump suspended the refugee program hours after taking office for a second time earlier this year, citing strains on the American communities receiving the refugees and concerns about the vetting process. Weeks later, his administration made an exception for Afrikaners, calling them victims of racial oppression. Hi, Rush. Oh, I mean, Jim tells you. Wow, dude, honestly, that's the biggest compliment anyone could ever give me. To compare me to the man, the myth, the legend, Rush Limbaugh. In another order posted on the government's Journal of Regulations, Mr. President Trump said that 7,500 refugee spots for fiscal year 2026 would primarily be allocated among Afrikaners, other victims of illegal or unjust discrimination in their respective homelands. Fiscal year 2026 started on October 1st and accumulates on the end of September 2026. Yes. I miss the Majarushi. Bella is just big and bone. South African government has vehemently denied that Afrikaners or other white South Africans are being persecuted. Oh, yeah. El Rushbo. Yes, they're not. Before in the 1990s, South Africans enforced a brutal system of apartheid. Let's be honest, though. The country ran well, right? There was plenty of food, and there was electricity. They didn't have rolling blackouts, and there wasn't people getting robbed on the streets. Yeah. So, I don't know. Was it really brutal? Oh, Majarushi, one of his nicknames. Okay, yeah. Rush had the golden microphone. Jim has Bella. Afrikaners are an ethnic group in South Africa made up of descendants of European settlers and colonists, mostly from the Netherlands, who first arrived there in the 1600s. The Trump administration welcomed the first group of Afrikaners granted refugee status in May. The prioritization of Afrikaners, while refugees from places like Afghanistan, Myanmar, Sudan, plagued with ethnic violence and armed conflict, are being blocked from entering the U.S., has led to accusations of preferential treatments. Well, haven't those people been coming here all along? And the Afrikaners were basically getting pushed off. No one, during Biden, didn't let any of them in. So Bella's breed is solid muscle. Yeah. And that she could probably survive a canine snap pause. Well, Yeah, no. Yeah, Bella could go probably. Confusing though, she took off when the neighbor's dog started barking. Well, that'll happen. Dogs bark and then other dogs react, and so we'll see. Krish Omada Veganahadahada, president of Global Refuge, one of the several national groups that traditionally have worked with the U.S. government to resettle refugees, says Mr. Trump's decision lowers our moral standing. Oh, that's right. These were the groups that said they refused to work with the white people. At a time of crisis in countries ranging from Afghanistan to Venezuela to Sudan and beyond, concentrating the vast majority of missions to one group undermines the program's purpose as well as its credibility. Yeah, no. Officially created in 1980, the U.S. Refugee Program was designed to offer safe harbor to people abroad fleeing persecution because of their race, religion, political views, or membership in a social group. Yeah, we don't need any from Sudan. No, we don't. Before the second Trump administration took office, refugees were typically referred to the U.S. by the United Nations officials and spent months or years in third-party countries undergoing interviews, as well as security and medical checks before being granted entry into the U.S. Or they just walked across the southern border and said, "We claim asylum." The process is distinct from the asylum system, which can be accessed by foreigners directly on American soil, including those who enter the U.S. illegally. Okay. Over the past decades, most of those admitted to the U.S. as refugees have come from countries like Africa and Asia, plagued by war. Well, South Africa's in Africa. Huh. After refugee admissions plummeted to a record low of 11,000 in fiscal year 2021, mostly due to Trump-era cuts and impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Biden administration dramatically expanded the program. That's right. In 2024, the Biden administration welcomed more than 100,000 refugees, the highest level since the 1990s. Huh. It says, nope, to seek asylum, you must apply at a port of entry. Biden just ignored the law. Yeah. Officials stopped publishing refugee admission data after Mr. Trump's return to the White House. Is President Trump to you, scumbag? And then Newsweek says the Trump administration announces major change in refugee admissions. They're going to cut the cap to 7,500, and the move marks a spark departure from the Biden administration's ceiling of 125,000. Oh, that's at 100. That's 125,000. So that's 25% more. I wonder why they're lying. Refugee groups immediately reacted to the posting with an International Refugee Assistance Program, calling it egregious. Oh, yes, the people that wanted to get to come here and live off us and get SNAP and benefits and Section 8 and all the assistance basically that we have to offer, basically, live off of us. They're upset that they don't get to come and live off of us. Oh. This determination makes it painfully clear that the Trump administration values politics over protection. What? By privileging Afrikaners while continuing to ban thousands of refugees who've already been vetted and approved. The administration is once again vetted and approved by who? By the UN? Where they're not in charge of us. Fuck the UN. It's a dangerous and precarious situation. Why it matters? It matters because fuck those people. President Trump heavily restricted both refugees and asylum programs on his return to office, but later welcomed a group of Afrikaners claiming they had faced persecution. They did. They're killing them all in the farms. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. That move sparked outrage, who argued that people from other nations in the midst of conflicts were being passed over. Oh, well. The notice from the president said refugee allocation for 2026 would go to white South Africaners as well as other victims of unjust or illegal discrimination. Sounds good to me. During a visit to the White House, President Cyril Ramaphosa was shown a large video laying out the alleged genocide claims, which he adamantly denied, and he got made to look like a fool. In a separate filing, the president said the U.S. refugee program must be in the national interest. To do that, the president said he would move the administration of initial refugee resettlement grants to the Department of Health and Human Services rather than being administered by the Department of State. Yeah. Why not? That's where it should go, right? So the humanitarian groups denounce the Trump administration's approach. Well, go fuck themselves. They can get their own country and run it the way they want them, or run for president then. Change it. The organization said Thursday the number of people with confirmed travel plans to be resettled in the U.S. before the refugee program had been resettled was far larger than the entire program for the year. Oh. So the number of people with confirmed travel plans to be resettled in the U.S. before the refugee program was suspended was far larger than the entire program for the year. So the Biden administration was actually giving way more people permission to come in and settle here through the State Department with a wink and a nod than actually was approved. Oh, okay. America's refugee program was built to reflect our values, and the thousands of individuals we close our door to represent thousands of missed opportunities for them, not for us. No, they could have strengthened they ain't gonna strengthen shit. People don't speak English, they don't read English, they don't have our, no, bullshit. You know what? Honestly, the white South Afrikaners actually will assimilate perfectly into the U.S. No problem. They'll get jobs, they'll work, they'll do all types of stuff, they'll go work on farms. They'll do the farm work that they say we need illegal aliens to do. Because that's what they did there. They were all farmers. Until they got murdered and their farms stolen from them. And they're going to continue to fight until the government keeps its promises amidst the people who have already been approved and are ready to rebuild their lives here. Nope, they're not coming in. Decision doesn't just lower the refugee admission ceiling, it lowers our moral standing. Who the fuck are you, Mama? Go back to India. Oh, wait, breaking news. The Dolphins suck. That's terrible. That's terrible. That's terrible news. Terrible news. Terrible, terrible news. Time of crisis in Afghanistan and Venezuela. Oh, well. Even for those able to get to the U.S. as refugee protection systems are now more limited. Yeah. Why? Trump has ordered Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy to work together to hand the office over to HHS. Okay, so, yeah. Oh, this is a crazy story, man. And I hope everyone's ready. If there's any small kids in the room, tell them to leave now. This is a fucked up story. So a California mom is arrested on murder charges after 7-year-old's remains are found in a freezer. Authorities have placed the mom's other children in care after discovering the 7-year-old boy's body inside her freezer. A California mom has been arrested on suspicion of killing her 7-year-old child, and hiding her son's remains in the freezer. Destiny Harrison, 25. Oh, I bet her destiny wasn't to stay free for long. Was arrested on Tuesday along with her son's father and grandmother after deputies from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department responded to a suspicious incident. Investigators arrived at the home in Linwood at 8:30 p.m. They began a search that ended in a tragic discovery of an unnamed boy's remains. Police say they responded quickly, taking Harrison's 3 other children aged 16, 13, and 9 into protective custody. Why? Wait, so the 16, the 13, and the 9-year-old, none of them said shit like, hey, our 7-year-old brother's missing? Nobody said anything? Wow. Yeah, what is wrong with these people that hurt children? I don't understand either. I really don't. This is unimaginable and horrific tragedy. Hey, sunshine. Nice to see you tonight. The LA County Supervisor, Janice Hahn, of course, said, according to KTLA, I stand ready to support the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department as they investigate this child's death. Like, why do they have supervisors? To the wood chipper. My heart breaks for the other children this home must have experienced, and it's critical that our Department of Children's and Family Services do everything possible to support them and keep them safe and in protected custody. How much do you want to bet they get given back right away? Harrison is currently being held at the Century Regional Detention Facility, according inmate records made available by LASD, that's Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. The boy's 25-year-old father, Daniel Monzon, and his 46-year-old grandmother, Ana Zarcino Caracamo, have been charged with conspiracy to commit murder. All three have had their bail set at $2 million. Meanwhile, investigators say they're continuing to search for a motive and have not confirmed how the boy died. Authorities have yet to confirm how long the boy had been dead and how long his remains have been in a freezer. Definitely Lord Chippy candidates, yeah. The case is still being actively investigated. No further details about the case will be shared in order to maintain the integrity of the investigation. A probe into the gruesome crime continues. You wouldn't expect for that person to do something like that. Christian Torres, the family's neighbor, said. He told the NBC that nothing seemed out of the ordinary at the home. Nobody noticed the 7-year-old was missing. Torres, who's lived in the apartment block for 20 years, said that he could see Harrison walking with her dog, and he said that they never spoke beyond saying hi to each other, but claimed that she would always smile when he walked past. Oh, so she smiled, so she must be a good person. Because, Jeffrey Dahmer, I'm sure, never smiled. Charles Manson never smiled. And, John Wayne Gacy never smiled, obviously. And Ed Gein never smiled. Linwood mother arrested on suspicion of murder.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan.
Oh, I'm John Morgan of Morgan &
When you
Morgan.
use Uber or Lyft, you're taking a gamble.
You're taking a gamble with Uber or
You
Lyft.
have no idea who that driver is.
You have no idea who that driver
Paying
is.
attention to their phone.
They could be paying attention to their phone.
Injured in an Uber or Lyft accident, you could have a big case.
Call Morgan & Morgan.
Morgan.
Next story, man. Now to some developing news around the body of a 7-year-old boy was apparently found inside of a freezer in Linwood.
3 members of his family have been taken into custody. We've got Rachel live in Linwood with the details on this. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. We're learning disturbing new details about what happened to this 7-year-old child. Deputies at this very station here in Linwood tell us they responded initially to that apartment Tuesday evening to report of a dead child. Take a look here. This is video provided by the Citizens app. Deputies say they conducted initially a welfare check and found the 7-year-old child inside the apartment. Sources tell us the child was found dead inside a freezer. Well, 3 other children were found inside the apartment and taken into protective custody by the Department of Children and Family Services. Well, according to the LA County Sheriff's Department, the child's mother was arrested for murder. The child's father and grandmother were arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. By the way, the 7-year-old's cause of death right now still unknown as of this morning. In a statement, though, the LA County supervisor is calling this a horrific tragedy, of course, and anyone with any information about this ongoing investigation is urged to call the LA County Sheriff's Department. Live in Linwood this morning. Rachel Aragon, I'll send it back to you.
So sad and so many questions this morning, Rachel. All right, we'll be following that. Thank you so much.
That's crazy. So yeah, a 25-year-old mother was arrested for murder after her son was found dead in the family's apartment. The child's father.
If you've been hurt in an accident and
get out of here with that business. What are you doing? Try to sneak one in on me. Child's father and grandmother were also arrested. The 3 additional children were taken into custody. The boy was found dead in the Linwood apartment, prompting the arrest of the child's parents and grandmother on suspicion of murder. Deputies from the Century Sheriff's Station responded to an apartment on Tuesday just after 8:30 p.m. after receiving information about a deceased child. While conducting a welfare check, deputies located a 7-year-old child dead in the apartment. Sources say the child was allegedly found in a freezer. 3 additional children aged 16, 13, and 19, and 9 months. So a 9-month-old. Wait a minute. I thought that's no way at 16, 13, and 9 months. So it's got to be 16, 13, and 9 months. I thought originally the ones at 16, 13, and 9 years were found inside the apartment, taken into protective custody. Didn't we watch this already? Is this a different one? Hold on. Is it different? Is this a different one?
A blind spot that's never out of sight. How it should be.
Let's see if this is going to be the same one.
Your SoCal Hyundai dealer.
Neighbors at this Linwood apartment complex are still in shock and disbelief after learning a child was found dead in a freezer. LA County Sheriff's Department officials say the coroner is still working to figure out exactly when and how the 7-year-old boy was killed. His mother is behind bars, being held on suspicion of murder. The boy's father and grandmother were also arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. 3 other children, ages 16, 13, and 9 months, were taken into protective custody.
Wow. Oh, what's happening? The victim's mother, father, and grandmother were detained at the scene. According to the child's mother, Destiny Harrison, 25. So wait, but she's 25. Didn't they say there was a 16-year-old? So that would mean she had a kid. That she had a kid when she was 14, right? Is that math? Is that mathing for you guys, or am I wrong? Why did the cops look in the freezer? I don't know. It sounded almost like when they're saying somebody called about a deceased child, maybe one of the kids said something. And says the mother and father, 9, Jim. 9? Oh, yeah, you're right. 16 and 25, that's 9. Something's goofy. Yeah, something don't make sense. Something don't make sense. Bail has been set at $2 million each. We don't know the child's cause of death is unknown. Detectives continue investigating the child's death. Anyone with information, encouraged to contact the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Homicide Bureau. Yeah, something's goofy. Maybe she's a stepmom. Well, it says the father's only 25 too. Child's father is 25 and she's 25. And they're saying it's a 7-year-old, so that means the kid was born when they were both 18. Yeah, they look everywhere and they're looking for a missing kid. Yeah, they look everywhere. They don't stop searching till they find the kid. Yeah, you call the cops and say your kid is missing, they're looking through your whole house before they go anywhere else. I worked with an 11-year-old and 13-year-old moms. Horrible. Oh my God. Oh my God. That sounds horrible. This is basically another thing. We'll see if it's a little different. Just says Linwood mother arrested after 7-year-old boy's body found in freezer. Mother and grandmother were also arrested.
Found dead. Other breaking news tonight.
Let's see if this is any different.
7-year-old child found dead in an apartment in Linwood. Tonight, NBC4 investigators learned the body of that child was found in a freezer. Macy Jenkins live in Linwood with more on that for us. Macy.
Hi there, Colleen. Well, LA County Sheriff's deputies found the boy's body inside
I guess
of
you're right.
apartment building.
They just said there was 3 other kids. They didn't say whose kids they were.
Now, his 25-year-old mother, Destiny Harrison, is behind bars and charged with the murder of her own child. Now let's take a look at some video from last night. Deputies with LASD's Century Station got a call around 8:30 Tuesday night informing them about a dead child inside of this apartment building here on Euclid Avenue in Linwood. We're just a few blocks north of the city of Compton. When deputies arrived, they conducted a welfare check and found the body of that little boy. Investigators have not said how he died, but NBC4 Investigates has learned that deputies found the boy's body inside of a freezer. His mother is now charged with murder, while his father and grandmother were arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. Now, we spoke with a neighbor, Christian Torres. He's lived in the building for 20 years and says he often saw the 7-year-old playing with other kids outside on the sidewalk along with the boy's mother.
To be honest with you, no. I mean, literally, she would always be out here with her dog, and you know, you will come in, she will smile, that's about it. I mean, I never crossed words with her, but yeah, she will just say hi, that's it, walk in, you know, nothing out of the ordinary. You wouldn't expect for that person to do something like that. So, I mean, it's just mad, fear, sad, you know, I mean, it's gonna be Halloween. Now that kid won't be able to enjoy the holidays, and it's just can't understand how can someone be so evil.
LA County Supervisor Janice Hahn released a statement tonight about this incident, saying this is an unimaginable and horrific tragedy. I stand ready to support the LA County Sheriff's Department as they investigate this child's death. My heart breaks for what the other children in this home must have experienced. Now, 3 additional children were taken from the home, ages 16, 13, and 9 months old. They are in protective custody of LA County Department of Children and Family Services. Now, bail for the mother, grandmother, and father of the little boy has been set at $2 million each. That's the very latest. Reporting live here in Linwood, Macy Jenkins, NBC4 News.
But yeah, hit the like button, man. There's 104 people watching and only 65 likes. So hit the like button. Detectives are investigating the death of a 7-year-old boy whose body was found in a freezer. Los Angeles County Sheriff was called to the apartment on Euclid Avenue. Hey, you know who else lived on Euclid Avenue? Oh, no, wait, it wasn't Euclid Avenue. They didn't live on Euclid Avenue. I was thinking the Big Bang Theory. They lived on 121 West Los Robles Drive. But they went down Euclid in the bump. Remember the one with the bump when Howard was on his motor scooter and Sheldon needed a ride. And he was on the back and said, "Oh, no, not Euclid Avenue." They just fell off the snap rolls. Yeah. No, someone will collect the snap money. Officials, as a result of the grim discovery, the boy's mother, father, grandma were detained. Officials later arrested the boy's mother on suspicion of murder. The boy's father and grandmother were arrested on suspicion of conspiracy to commit murder. Going to find out it's another CPS failure? Probably. Isn't Weird Al from Linwood? Probably. Okay, you wouldn't expect that. Okay, so it's unimaginable. 3 other children in the household whose ages are 9 months, 13, and 16 were placed in protective custody. Yeah, I wonder who's... Maybe the 13 and 16-year-old are... Maybe the 13 and 16-year-old aren't the same, like, are the grandmother's kids or some other family member's kids, maybe. I don't know. Because she's 25 is pretty young to have I mean, that's way too young to have a 16-year-old. No fucking way. Come on. That ain't normal. All right. And now on to another story. We got the fucking rhinos in the Senate. Voting with the Democrats to basically strip Trump of his power to actually put tariffs on stuff. Like, why? What are you doing? U.S. Senate votes to terminate President Trump's sweeping global tariffs, 51-47. Republicans who voted to overturn Trump was Mitch McConnell, Susan Collins, Rand Paul, and Lisa Murkowski. At 9 years old, a girl can get pregnant. I know, but that guy, it was also 25. Was he the father? So he was 9 too. I would think a boy at 9 is shooting blanks. However, Speaker Johnson has indicated measures like these are DOA in the House. Yet an album called Straight Outta Linwood. My brother, a Vietnam vet, was found rolled up in a carpet with a crushed skull on Euclid, but that was in Fontana, California. Oh my God! I knew it. I knew what he meant by bomb. Vietnam vet. I knew. I got it. Now they're gonna vote. They're gonna say yes, we're doing jobs here. Well, the government's closed, but we're gonna vote on stuff that doesn't matter. Yes. Why reopen the government? We can vote on this stuff, and we got our money. Yeah, pay us, pay me.
On this vote, the yeas are 51, the nays are 47.
Wow. The yeas are 51, the nays are 47. Wow. So the Senate's symbolic vote against tariffs is a political theater, nothing more. The House will kill it. As Speaker Johnson said, tariffs are a strategic tool, not a permanent policy. The initial chaos forced China to drop their countermeasures and slash tariffs on U.S. goods from 125% to 10%. That's leverage in action. McConnell and company can grandstand, but the reality is Trump's pressure tactics reset trade dynamics. The goal was never tariffs for tariff's sake. It was forcing Beijing to blink, which they did. Now watch as U.S. exports surge while D.C. obsesses over performative votes. The real story in the numbers is on our timeline. says Muhammad's wife was 9. Yeah, Aisha was her name, and I think she was 9. Yeah, but I don't know when she first had a kid though. How old were Adam and Eve? Wouldn't Trump need to sign this? Well, yeah, it would have to be passed by the House, and then Trump would need to sign it, so Trump could veto it, and it wouldn't mean anything. Rand Paul keeps shooting himself in the foot of me ever wanting to vote for him. Yeah, he keeps doing dumb shit like this. I don't know. No, it's like I don't know. Are we sure this is true? I thought the Senate had some unilateral tariff power. Trump met with Xi and China folded on fentanyl precursors to rare earth exports while the U.S. tariffs dropped from 57 to 47. That's plain negotiation. McDonald's grandson doesn't change the fact that Beijing moved Washington talks theater. The pressure worked because it follows. Senate votes to terminate all of Trump's global tariffs. Here are 4 rhinos who voted with the Democrats. The Senate once again sided with global special interests against President Trump's tariffs. On Thursday, the U.S. Senate voted to strip Trump of his power to impose the tariffs that he placed on free-loading nations that have stripped Americans of their jobs and wealth for decades. These even include the tariffs on China, America's top foreign adversary. The vote was 51 to 47. 4 rhinos sided with the Democrats to stab Trump in the back. The U.S. Senate votes to terminate President Trump's sweeping global tariffs, 51 to 47. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I thought you needed 60 votes to pass anything in the Senate. That's weird how this was able to get it with just 51 votes. That's weird, right? Huh. How come this doesn't need 60 votes? Huh. 4 Republicans who voted to strip away Trump's efforts were Senators Eric Schmidt and Roger Wicker did not vote on the measure. Yeah, they weren't in town. So this is the 3rd time in the last 3 days the Senate has bucked Trump on tariffs. They voted on Tuesday 52 to 48 to nuke President Trump's 50% tariff on Brazil, and 5 Republicans voted with Democrats to repeal tariffs on incoming materials. Tom Tillis. On Wednesday, the Senate voted to abolish the tariffs on Canada. On this measure, Paul, McConnell, Murkowski, Collins were the 4 Republicans that voted against the party. House Speaker Johnson will not hold a vote on any of these measures, nor will Trump ever sign them into law. Oh, okay. Trump is currently in the Supreme Court fighting to keep his tariffs in place after a court said Trump exceeded his authority. Well, if he exceeded his authority, wouldn't the Senate voting this way be a signal that he didn't exceed his authority? Kind of seems like, why would they have to pass a bill if he didn't exceed his authority? You know what I mean? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, anyway. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. 4 Republicans back a Senate resolution to undo Trump's tariffs. Yeah, I don't understand this, man. Why is it always rhinos go with the Democrats? We hardly say the word dino. Democrats, it's a mythological creature. And just doesn't exist. Bella looks real comfy now. Yeah. The Senate passed a resolution. So it's just a resolution. It's not a law. It's just a resolution. So it's not even a bill. Wait a minute. So it's just a resolution. It's just a declaration. Like, we disapprove that they would undo many of his tariffs around the globe. I don't understand how a resolution would do it. It would have to be a bill. It would have to be a law. And it came just as the celebrated negotiation with China's success. They're meeting with Xi Jinping. Prosperity and security for millions of Americans. They know he didn't exceed his authority, but they know they can exceed their authority temporarily. As long as they can interrupt Trump's authority, they will. If Trump exceeded his authority, then that's a crime. Yeah, it's not. It's not just them. You know, it's not just them saying stuff like that. Wake up! Any leftist can run a Republican to get elected. They've done it many times. Yeah. Senators, several from Trump's Republican Party, have demonstrated their dissent with Trump's tariff taxes by passing a series of resolutions this week that would nullify the national emergencies that Trump has declared to justify the import taxes. Already this week, the Senate approved resolutions to end tariffs imposed on Brazil and Canada. While the legislative efforts are ultimately doomed, they expose fault lines in the GOP. The latest resolution, which would effectively end most of Trump's tariff policies, passed on a 51-47 vote, with 4 Republicans joining with all the Democrats. Yeah, Rand Paul, the rhino who backed Democrats on the resolutions, credited Trump for decreasing the tariffs on China, but said the result is still much higher than we've had. It would still lead to increased prices. The votes were orchestrated by Democrats using a decades-old law that allows Congress to notify a presidential emergency, but House Republicans have instituted a new law that allows the leadership to prevent such resolutions from coming up for a vote. Plus, Trump would surely veto legislation that inhibits his power over trade policy, meaning, so this isn't about, this is saying that the emergency he declared doesn't exist. Yeah. Mitch McConnell is a 90s Democrat that ran as a Republican. That's because the GOP allows randoms in the party. Democrats can force a vote, but not a result. Democrats still have been able to force the Senate to take up uncomfortable topics for their Republican colleagues. Yeah, I don't understand how the Democrats can force the Republicans to take these votes, but the Republicans were never able to get votes on stuff they wanted. Overall, there's been little movement among Republicans to oppose Trump's import taxes publicly. A nearly identical resolution failed in April on a tied vote after Senate Republican Mitch McConnell of Kentucky was absent. On Thursday, McConnell, Paul, as well as Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine voted along with all Democrats to pass the resolution. Those 4 Republicans helped advance similar resolutions this week to end the tariffs on Brazil and Canada. Tom Tillis, a North Carolina Republican, also voted in favor of the resolution applying to Brazil, but otherwise, GOP senators have held the line this week behind the president. I agree with my colleagues that tariffs should be more targeted to avoid harm to America, said Mike Crapo, Senate's Finance Committee in floor speak. Yet he added that Trump's negotiations are bearing fruit and praised his announcement that Beijing would allow export of rare earth elements to start buying American soybeans again. It's not a two-way street. No, it's not. Republicans representing farm states are especially enthused by the announcement that China will be purchasing 25 million metric tons of soybeans annually, starting with 10 million metric tons for the rest of this year. Roger Marshall, a Kansas Republican, said the deal with China absolutely justifies Trump's use of tariff threats and to negotiate trade policy with other nations. He called the announcement huge news for Kansas farmers, but also acknowledged that they would still probably need financial help as they deal with the strain of losing their biggest customer for soybeans and sorghum. Who's their biggest customer? Russia? Ukraine? I don't understand. It's not like you snap your fingers and send over $50 billion worth of sorghum and soybeans there overnight. China has been the largest producer of U.S. soybeans until this year. It purchased almost 27 metric tons in 2024, so Trump negotiated a deal only guarantees return soybean exports to China less than their previous levels. What? Democrats said America should be fooled. Trump had folded, leaving American families and farmers. Oh, Chuck Schumer, yeah. Yeah, see? DOJ reportedly investigating Black Lives Matter fraud. We got that story. It's a little later. Fox says Senate defies Trump on global tariffs as Republicans join Democrats in rare bipartisan vote. So I guess this is bipartisan. So then why wouldn't the reopening of the government be bipartisan since two Democrats voted with the Republicans? And this is confusing to me because they've got 54 votes or 55 votes. I think 55 votes to open the government. And that didn't pass. But this got 51 votes and they're saying this is a rebuke. So this is crazy. This is just crazy. Financial Post says the Senate snubs Trump on a third anti-Trump vote this week. Anti-tariff vote this week, I'm sorry. Anti-Trump, anti-tariff. It says the resolutions are largely symbolic. Largely symbolic or completely symbolic? So, yeah, it's just symbolic. Here's Rand the Rhino. Paul says Congress has a duty to stop reckless tariffs that hurt American families and business. I'm fighting to take back congressional authority on trade. No more unilateral executive tariffs. We must put America first by restoring the Constitution. But that's what none of these votes didn't do any of that. They didn't do any of that. What? Why we're focusing the Senate votes on Trump's tariffs. Yeah, so here's Rand the Clown Paul. Why we're forcing the Senate votes on Trump's tariffs. I hate Trump. Trump's evil. Tim Kaine, a Democrat, is a U.S. Senator from Virginia. Oh, yeah. So. Yeah, so I ain't even going to read this because it's all a bunch of bullshit. You're listening to the media slant on things. I like tariffs. I don't see a problem with it. Yeah, these people are crazy. All right, this is a better story. The Pentagon's DOGE unit is spearheading the military drone overhaul. In July, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth pledged to cut the red tape and assert U.S. drone dominance by approving hundreds of American-made drone models. That's right, hundreds of more drone models. The Pentagon's DOGE unit is leading the efforts to overhaul the U.S. military drone program, including streamlining procurement, expanding homegrown production, and acquiring tens of thousands of cheap drones in the coming months, according to the Pentagon and people with knowledge on the matter. In July, what the hell's going on here? Let me get the rest of this, jerks. Wouldn't let me get the rest of that story. I don't know what's going on with that. DOGE aims to streamline procurement, expand drone production. Unit's leader was Marine and Goldman Sachs trader. Unit's leader was Marine and Goldman Sachs, a Marine and a Goldman Sachs. Good night, Hank. Thanks for stopping by. Pentagon's DOGE unit is leading the efforts to overhaul the drone program, including streamlining procurement. In July, he pledged to cut the red tape. DOGE's involvement, which has not been previously reported, grants the unit influence over the drone program that President Trump designated a defense priority in the June executive order. 5 people with knowledge of the matter testified to. And the Pentagon did not respond to requests for comments. Pentagon is trying to overcome a mixed track record on acquiring drones. In 2023, Pentagon leaders announced that the Replicator Initiative, a department-wide effort to acquire and field thousands of autonomous drones by August 2025. However, the Department of Defense has not provided an update on the current status of the program. In September, a Pentagon official said that Replicator capabilities were being transitioned to the appropriate end state users. According to trade publication Defense Scoop, Reuters could not determine how the DOGE effort would impact Replicator Initiative. Trump has ordered the department to rename itself the Department of War, a change that would require an action of Congress. Oh, really? No, I don't think so. I don't think it requires an act of Congress to change the name of an executive thing. I don't think it does. When did they change it to the Department of Defense from War? Because it was always the Department of War. It's the Department of War in the Constitution. Just saying. Originally spearheaded by billionaire Elon Musk, Doge has cut billions of dollars of government programs, including many at the Pentagon since Trump began his second term. The drone effort, a new task for the unit, is partially aimed at addressing the challenges of sourcing U.S.-made drone platforms. Most U.S.-made drones rely on Chinese components. Doge officials have requested information on drones from across the Pentagon, including the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. What a great day. It's a great day to start. And they seek information about specifications, including weight and payload size, according to two people familiar with the situation. The Doge team is expected to submit a report to an executive committee in the Office of Secretary of War by next week, according to a person with knowledge on the matter. One of the goals is to acquire at least 30,000 drones in the coming months before ramping up further, one of the people said. This would mark a significant win for the U.S. drone companies that have been angling to supply the Pentagon with cheap drones. It should be called the Department of FAFO. Yes. Trump technically declared war on the Department of Defense, as he did. Companies such as Red Cat, Skydio, and PDW, which sell quadcopter models to the Army for prices ranging from the low thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars, are well positioned to benefit. Venture-backed up startups, Neuros, recently signed a contract with the Marines for its low-cost drone. The Doge team is being led by Owen West, co-author of Hexas drone memo issued in July, who joined Doge earlier this year, according to three people. The former Marine and Goldman Sachs trader was an energy trader. He rejoined the military in 2017 as the Assistant Secretary of Defense, overseeing Special Operations Forces. West's LinkedIn profile states that he's been a financial analyst at the Department of Defense since February. West did not immediately respond or comments. Yes. Buy some drone stocks. Yes. The names are right there. Neuros, the venture-backed startup Neuros, and then PDW, Skydio, and Red Cat. That's what I would be looking for. That's what I would be looking for if I was you. Here we go. This is in U.S. News and World Reports by Reuters. Said, Pentagon's Doge is leading efforts to overhaul the military drone program, streamlining procurement. Pentagon did not immediately respond to requests for comments. This is all the same thing we just asked, right? This is the same exact story. Same exact story. All right, next story. Federal judge weighs forcing the USDA to pay SNAP benefits. That's right, a federal judge, an inferior lower court judge, a lower court inferior judge is going to force the USDA to find money to pay SNAP benefits. Go find it somewhere. You don't have it. Congress is responsible for the money. Congress pays. I don't care what Congress said. You have to get the money. Find it. Go steal it. Go rob a bank. Pay it. I'm telling you to. Queen. Trump might not be king, but this federal judge thinks she's a queen. The judge suggests the government should try at least partially funding the benefits. You could try something. A federal judge considered ordering the U.S. Department of Agriculture to tap the $5 billion contingency fund to avoid a lapse in the National Food Stamp Program on October 30th. The problem is that that's not enough to cover it. That's $3 billion short, lady. U.S. District Judge Indira Talwani, during a hearing in Boston, said the government should find a way to continue giving limited benefits to recipients of the Supplemental Nutrition Program rather than just cutting it off completely. The steps involve finding an equitable way of reducing benefits. Yeah, you got to find an equitable way. Something with equity. Oh, diversity, equity, and inclusion. She wants DEI benefits. Talwani is expected to issue a ruling by the end of October 30th. Oh, and approximately 1 in 8 Americans benefit from SNAP, and at a cost of around $100 billion per year. It's one of the country's most amply funded social service initiatives. On October 10th, the USDA informed states that it would not disperse benefits for November because of the government shutdown. So why did they wait until? It's a liberal judge who's already been overturned more than once for ruling against Trump on other shit. The program is set to run out of funding on November 1st if the shutdown continues. Senate Democrats have declined to support a House-passed bill to fund the government, and earlier this week, the Republicans did not support a bill providing standalone funding for SNAP. No. As Republicans and Democrats continue to face off on the issue, 25 states sued on October 27th, insisting that the USDA could harness the $5 billion emergency fund to keep the program going. However, Mike Johnson, the speaker, said this is illegal on October 27th, noting that these funds were meant to pay for school meals and infant formula. A memo from the USDA echoed Johnson's statement, noting that the emergency fund, along with the $23 billion in tariff revenue, is being used to cover school breakfast and lunch programs, along with the Women's and Infant Children program, which provided infant formula and healthy food to babies and mothers. The memo also notes that state governments cannot be reimbursed if they choose to cover SNAP benefits, a program that costs they can't be reimbursed. Wow. Oh, look at Bella running in her sleep. About $8 billion per month. Some states, such as Virginia, are planning to launch their own stopgap programs to ensure food security. Yeah, why don't these judges go on strike? They could go to Capitol and demand Congress to vote yes. Well, why didn't she just order Congress? Why didn't she order the Senate to vote? She should. She should order. She wouldn't order the Democrats to vote on the clean CR, but she could order the Republicans to vote yes on the just funding the SNAP. Yeah, she could do that. The plaintiff state argued that in addition to harming tens of millions of Americans who rely on SNAP, the program's suspension will harm the businesses where they shop. Well, over 42 million people get SNAP, and only like 10, 12 million are Americans. So there you go. Attorneys for the government argue that the program cannot be funded during the shutdown since it's a violation of the Anti-Deficiency Act, which dictates how the government operates during a funding lapse and forbids the United States from making such an obligation without appropriation. Even if the USDA could legally reallocate the money, that decision belongs to the agency, not a federal court, and certainly not the plaintiffs, the government wrote in its court filing. The agency noted that spending the money on SNAP would divert it from its intended use, natural disasters and other uncontrollable catastrophes. Talwani expressed skepticism at the arguments. It's hard for me to understand that this is not an emergency when there is no money and a lot of people are needing SNAP benefits. Who decides what the emergency is? It's not you, lady. It's not the fucking district court judge doesn't decide what the fucking emergency is. It's not up to her. It's a developing story. We'll keep you updated. Well, I hope so. This says the federal judge weighs ordering emergency funding of SNAP. Yeah, she's going to order Congress to fund it. Congress has the power to purse, so she's going to order Congress? Really? The Atlanta Food Bank, one of the largest, is facing increased need. A federal judge in Massachusetts might order the federal government to tap emergency funds. Bella's chasing rabbits. Yes, she is. The SNAP program is out of money. She's chasing lots of bunnies tonight. Yes, she is. Thursday, she's likely to order them to use the emergency funds. Congress has put money in an emergency fund. It's hard for me to understand how this is an emergency. Oh, okay. This is ridiculous. States urge the U.S. judge to block Trump administration from suspending food benefits. The Trump administration is not suspending the food benefits. The food benefits are being suspended because there's no money. So this is an older story. Judge blasts political game over U.S. food aid suspension. The federal judge in Boston signaled she made rule that the Trump administration violated U.S. law in suspending food aid benefits. Oh, this is a political game being played with American lives. Judge Talwani heard arguments in a lawsuit brought by more than 24 Democrat-led states seeking to keep federal dollars flowing and SNAP things. The Department of Agriculture previously announced it would halt the program starting in November unless Congress approves new spending. Earlier this month, officials had directed states to stop taking steps to administer the program ahead of November 1st. Talwani bristled at the claims by the federal government that it couldn't tap emergency funds. Even providing partial payments would be devastating and too difficult for states to carry out. That's right. How does the states decide? Well, then people are going to start. They can't give out partial benefits, and they can't only give benefits to some people and not other people, because then that would be a violation of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, equal protection under the law. So you can't give it to some people. Yeah, why can't this judge order the Senate to vote 60 on the omnibus? Yeah. What Congress is trying to do is, you don't have enough money, we're going to tighten our belt, the judge says, not jeopardize people's well-being because of political gain. What? Yeah, the Agriculture Department, which manages the SNAP program, sees those funds as legally unavailable during the shutdown. The Justice Department attorney representing the agency went further in court, telling the judge that the agency would not access the emergency resources even if they were legally able to do so. The agency's conclusion would be that this a partial reimbursement would be disastrous, raising concerns that decades-old computer systems could freeze if recalculations are ordered. They'd conclude the partial reimbursement would be so devastating as to not exercise discretion to do so. The court pressed the parties on whether it has the power to issue a nationwide order, noting the Supreme Court's recent limitations on nationwide injunctions. As such, the lawsuit only sought SNAP funds for people in 25 states and the District of Columbia that filed the legal action. Taiwan said you can't consider this on the terms of only half the nation, citing a federal law and regulations that appear to anticipate reductions in benefit in some situations. Taiwan asked why the government hasn't taken the position that partial payments with limited emergency funds is simply too complicated. Because it is. A suspension of benefits will exacerbate food insecurity across the country. Okay. Tell the fucking Senate to vote for the bill. The federal government sends SNAP funds to states to administer, who then receive the money each month via a benefits card they can use to pay groceries. The lawsuit centers around SNAP contingency funds that Congress approved long before the shutdown. According to the government court filings, there's $5.25 billion in a reserve fund. Congress also designated money for child nutrition programs from proceeds of import tariffs. The administration recently transferred $300 million from that fund to keep WIC program running. The Agriculture Department has maintained that it can only use the contingency money to supplement existing funds that Congress approved to pay for SNAP benefits in a specific fiscal year. The reserve money isn't available now that there's no longer funds left from the previous fiscal year. The Democrat officials contend the government must exhaust available funding sources before halting payments for a program Congress has deemed mandatory. They said the government's stance conflicts with guidance the department published before the shutdown, stating the reserve funds would be available. That was guidance that was published by the Biden administration. Yeah, this is why 29 and 0 in SCOTUS. Yeah. If the lower court can order the higher executive office, then they can order the legislative branch with equal power. Sure, definitely. Yeah. Remind me again, since when do federal judges have the authority to tell our president what to do? I think they must not have paid attention. Yeah, well, all these people with tens of thousands in balances on their EBTs can get a few weeks more. Yeah. Although Republicans control both chambers of Congress, they need support from several Democrats to clear procedural hurdles in the Senate to pass a new spending bill. Most Senate Democrats have been united in pressing for a budget deal to include a renewal on expiring health care subsidies. It just says federal judge appears ready to order Trump administration continue some federal SNAP food aid. Is she going to decide who gets the money? Who decides who gets the money? Her? She's going to decide who gets the money? Oh. She said SNAP benefits could be suspended for the first time in the food aids program. Someone said SNAP's been suspended before. So there's the steps involve finding an equitable way of reducing benefits, said Talwani. An equitable way. I'm sure her equitable way would probably be, well, give it to all the minorities first. And then after the minorities, the white people can get it. I'm sure that's what she would say. I would bet $1 million that's what she would say. Hey, what's up, Cool Frog? How you doing, buddy? On to the next story. About 80 missing children rescued and 1,700 people arrested in Memphis, according to Pam Blondie. Okay. Last month, the federal government announced so last month, the government announced it would send National Guard troops and federal agents to Tennessee City. I have heard cashiers saying they've seen $17,000 balances. That would seem insane to me. U.S. Attorney Pam Bondi said October 29th that federal efforts in Memphis, Tennessee over the past month have led to the rescue of 80 missing children and the arrest of 1,700 people, including 126 gang members. Last month, the federal government said it would send National Guard troops to Memphis. Bonnie confirmed the operation figures in a post on X. 1,700 arrests, including 126 gang members. They're not your ordinary drug dealers. Just 1 month, the Memphis surge is proving it's possible to make American cities safe again. Bonnie said that 293 firearms were seized. About 7 dozen at-risk missing children were also located. The Trump administration's law enforcement surge into Memphis has put gang members behind bars. Rescued dozens of children and proven that collaboration between federal and local law enforcement can quickly make American cities safe again. The troop deployment came after President Trump signed an order in mid-September to send the Guard to Memphis. While signing it, Trump told reporters in the Oval Office that deploying troops would join a special task force in the city comprising officials from various federal agencies, including the FBI, the Drug Enforcement Administration, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and the U.S. Marshals Service. Says my brother gets EBT. If he didn't use it, he lose it. EBT eventually adjusted it, and he gets less. Yeah. Can they see the balance on your credit card? No, it's a lie. SB Farmers, it prints out on the bottom of the receipt. He said the goal would be to stamp out crime. It was a goal in Washington when the Guard was sent there and the city police was federalized. The task force will be a replica of our extraordinary successful efforts here, Trump said of the District of Columbia in remarks last month. And you'll see a lot of the same thing. A lot of numbers here are really something. They were really bad. It says EBT balances that aren't used at the end of the month get lost. No, it doesn't. And Trump also said the FBI had already stepped up its activities in Memphis, while the Tennessee's second largest city, and had helped reducing crime. It depends on the state, I think. It says in California they can carry over 3 months. Depends on the state, I think, about that. What happens? I think WIC is a certain amount of food every month, and then whatever it doesn't carry over. Like they say, you get so many. Like for women, you get so many cans of formula a month, and then the next, if you don't get all the cans of formula, they don't like carry over. Just you get these every month. Okay. Memphis had the highest homicide rate in the U.S., and that followed by Baltimore, Detroit. West Memphis, Arkansas, a suburb of west of Memphis, ranked as a small-sized city by Safe Home, had the second highest murder rate in the U.S., with 72 per 100,000. That was surpassed only by East Point, Georgia, a suburb located southwest of Atlanta, which had 78.5 homicides. How do you have 78.5 homicides per 100,000? Oh, I guess, okay, per 100,000. How does it lost? You mean it goes back to the government surplus in the EBT distribution account? Yeah, probably goes to those guys that work at, like from office space where they're just taking pennies. Birmingham, Alabama, ranked as a small-sized city, had a homicide rate of 58.8. Memphis was ranked number 1 in terms of aggravated assaults. Okay, the city's murder rate is at a 6-year low, and aggravated assaults at a 5-year low, it said. Wait a minute, so the city's murder rate, something that makes sense. How could it be number 1 in the country and be at a 5-year low? I know what happens as far as I know. Let's say you get $100 a month. You have $300 balance. You just don't get another 100. Okay. Just the news. They secure 1,700 arrests in the first month. Bonnie announced the Trump administration made 1,700 arrests in Memphis, Tennessee. Trump announced last month that he would be deploying the National Guard to Memphis. Bonnie said the arrests includes, we saw that, nearly 300 guns, all those gang members, federal surge, they're grateful to our partners. Federal task force include FBI. We read all this stuff. So same story, same. All right. And I saw this, and I wanted to bring this up because this is crazy. So they're trying to count, the Dems are trying to use their people. So this is Gallup. Crime in the U.S. is seen as less serious for the second straight year. So they took a poll And people said that they're not really worried about crime. So 49% each view crime as a serious problem, is increasing. Okay. 31% afraid to walk alone at night in the neighborhood, down from 40% in 2023. Building on last year's less negative assessments of crime in the U.S., America's perceptions have yet again improved in 2025. Less than half, 49%, say that crime is an extremely or very serious problem in the U.S. I don't know. I wonder why some of these people don't use coupons to stretch the food stamps every month, but then you have to have the ones getting $3K a month, and I've never thought I'd see the day that happened. These readings are down 7 to 15 percentage points, respectively, since last year, and at their lowest level since 2018. Okay, America's improved assessment on crime. Who the fuck is... percentage saying there is more crime in the U.S. than a year ago. Okay, so wait a minute. So the percentage saying there's more crime in the U.S. than a year ago. So of course that number is going down. I don't know. Trump's been president, all year this year. Of course that number is going down. Both of these measures worsened after 2018 as perceptions of rising crime in the early 2020s hit levels last reached in the 1990s. Okay. And the latest findings from Gallup's October annual crime poll shows that Americans now view national crime conditions more favorable than at any point in recent years. I guess because you get somebody in there that's enforcing the law and arresting people, they start to think crime's not as bad. You start arresting people. In addition to the 49% of adults who currently think there is more crime in the U.S., 33% say there's less, and 8% volunteer that there is about the same. Oh. But besides the 17% of U.S. adults who think crime is extremely, or 32% very serious, so 17 and 32 is 49. So 49%. 38% say it's moderately to not too or not serious at all. Oh, so it's just moderately crimey. It's moderately crimey with a chance of bullets. National view of national crime is approved among most subgroups. So the subgroups. Among those groups today, majorities of Republicans, women with annual household incomes under $40,000, and residents of rural areas say the same. And then right on cue, they start bumping these stories out saying fewer Americans see crime as a problem. Crime's great. Crime's great. Just less than half of Americans see crime as a very or extremely serious problem. Oh. A decline from last year. The poll found that 32% of respondents say they think crime is very serious, a decrease of 15 points. Meanwhile, 17% say they think crime is extremely serious, 7 points lower than last year. Oh, okay. A share of respondents thought crime was very or extremely serious problem peaked in 2023 when 63% of those polled said they held that view. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. This year's survey marks the lowest share of respondents who said they think crime is a very serious issue since 2018, when 48% of them polled so. So in 2019 and 2020, they got bad. Recent poll, 38% said crime is moderately serious problem. According to the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program, an estimated 359.1 violent crimes per 100,000 people in this country took place last year. A decrease of 5.4% relative. Well, I'd like to see those numbers to see if they're cooked or not, because we know days be cooking the books. We know that days be cooking the books. Relative to 2023, the estimated murder, robbery, and property crime rates decreased by 15%. Oh. This is 2025. 2023, 2025. Poll comes as President Trump continues his crackdown on crime. Oh, the survey conducted over the phone polled 1,000 U.S. adults in 50 states, in all 50 states. Oh, so 1,000 adults in 50 states. So 20 people per state? So they talked to 20 people per state. How is this a poll? Anyway, this is crazy. How's that even a survey? 20 Democrats in each state yet. Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, there's 50 states, and they talk to 1,000 people. So 10 people per state would be 500 people. Yeah, there's no crime in Portland. It's pure nirvana. Yeah. Yeah, that's way too small a sample size. Way too small sample size. Like, way too small sample size. Yeah, and of course, then you got, the Washington Post that says, concerns about crime in the U.S. fall for the second year in a row. Mm-hmm. Fewer Americans saw crime as a serious problem. So that's what they're doing. They're trying to push out, like, there's no crime. There's no crime. There's no war in Ba Sing Se. There's no war in Ba Sing Se. Anyone know that? Does anyone know that that saying, where that's from? There's no war in Ba Sing Se. Oh, look at this. It went up, 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 down, down, down. Oh, I don't buy it. I don't buy that for $1. Speaking of crime, yeah, Avatar. Okay, good pull. Good pull. Yes, Avatar. Just in, Black Lives Matter and its founders, Patrisse Cullors and Alicia Garza, are under federal investigation for defrauding donors out of $90 million. $90 million. So they should get like hundreds of years, right? For 90 million, hundreds of years, because, George Santos got 9 years for 60 grand. Millions of years. Yes. My cabbages. Yeah. I liked Boomy. He was one of my favorite characters. I was sad when Mako passed away that he couldn't finish out the series. I thought we figured this out years ago. One would have thought a person of multiple Hollywood mansions would have raised a red flag. BLM has been a scam the whole time. The Justice Department investigating fraud allegations in the Black Lives Matter movement. Yeah, it's gone down in D.C. and Memphis, yeah. That survey was done in their own gated communities. Black Lives Matter, people. Black Lives Matter. The Justice Department's investigating whether the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement defrauded donors who contributed tens of millions of dollars during racial justice protests in 2020, according to multiple people familiar with the matter. In recent weeks, federal law enforcement officials. Yeah, what did the Biden administration do to cause the downward change? Maybe change the category of crime. Well, they stopped a whole heap of police departments stopped reporting the crime data. That's why. You can look at the map and you can see. There's Chicago, New York, LA, Detroit, Philadelphia, Boston. All the major cities are not reporting their crime data to the FBI. The FBI is supposed the data is it's a survey that they're doing to get the data. They call people and ask them, and they go, oh, okay, this is how many people. All right. In recent weeks, federal law enforcement officials have issued subpoenas and served at least one search warrant as part of the investigation into the Black Lives Matter movement and the other Black-led organizations that help spark national reckoning on systemic racism, said the people who are not authorized to discuss an ongoing criminal probe by name and spoke on the condition of anonymity to the United Associated Press. The AP is using anonymous sources to provide information for this story. That's right, anonymopia. It was not clear if the investigation will result in criminal charges. Well, is anyone above the law? I thought no one was above the law. If no one's above the law, well, then there should be some kind of charges. Shouldn't there be some kind of charges if no one's above the law? You would think, right? There would have to be some kind of charges if no one's above the law. Huh. Mm-hmm. But its mere existence invites fresh scrutiny to the movement that in recent years has faced criticism about its public accounting of donations that they have received. The recent burst of investigative activity is also unfolding at a time when civil rights organizations have raised concerns about the potential for Trump administration to target a variety of progressive and left-leaning groups that have been critical of him, including those affiliated with BLM. Oh. Mm-hmm. You love James T. Kirk. So BLM and transgender rights movements and anti-ICE protest spokesperson for the Justice Department declined to comment on Thursday. Inflatable costumes take center stage. Okay. FBI agent fires agents for kneeling during the race. Yeah, they should all have been fired. Everyone that kneeled should have been fired. One of the people said the investigation had been initiated during the Biden administration, but is getting renewed attention during the Trump administration. A second person confirmed that the allegations were examined in the Biden administration. Can I do a Kirk impression? Scott. Set phasers. 2. Stun. Warp drive. Engage. This is something the news needs to be talking about over and over. The foundation said it took in over $90 million in donations following the 2020 murder of George Floyd, who died of a drug overdose. A black man whose last breaths were taken from him by fentanyl. There's something on the wing. Critics of the nonprofit foundation and the Black Lives Movement I don't believe in a no-win situation. The criticism grew louder after BLM Foundation leaders in 2020 confirmed they used donations to purchase a $6 million Los Angeles area property used for parties and orgies that included 6 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms. The leaders previously have denied any wrongdoing and publicly released the tax documents. No prior investigation into the nonprofit's finances have yielded any proof of impropriety. Leaders of the foundation have received subpoenas, and in statements they emailed to the AP on Thursday, the foundation said it's not a target of any federal criminal investigation, and we remain committed to full transparency, accountability, and the responsible stewardship of resources dedicated to building a better future and a cleaner tomorrow. It's funny, Jim tells us the news, but hardly ever actually accurately reads the news. I changed what are you talking about? I changed some stuff up a little bit just so that I don't want to read word for word. I put my old words in there. Black Lives Accounting Matters, rename them as BLAM. Yeah. The BLAM movement first emerged in 2013 after the acquittal of George Zimmerman, the neighborhood watch volunteer who killed the 17-year-old Trayvon Martin, who was beating his head off the concrete trying to murder him. But then, in 2014, when Michael Brown tried to murder a police officer, they came up with the slogan that Black Lives Matter, a rallying cry for progressives and a favorite target of derision for conservatives. I just say Black Lives Matter. Okay, so just so you are aware, I'm cool. Okay, I'll stay ahead of the news. Movement founders and organizers pledge to build a decentralized organization governed by consensus of BLM chapters. Blam, 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 blam. But as the movement's influence grew, so did the number of organizations that became affiliated with BLM. In 2020, a tidal wave of public contributions in the aftermath of the protests over George Floyd's overdose came mainly to the BLM Foundation, although other organizations were resourced from those funds. Leaders of the foundation opened up about finances, and organizational structure in 2022, revealed detailing accountings of expenditures. The latest Form 990 filing shows the BLM Foundation had $28 million in assets for the fiscal year ending in 2024. Yes, yeah, the BLM is connected to Obama and the SEI union sneaking. Investigation is being run out of the U.S. Attorney's Office for Central District of California. The top prosecutor, Bill Assorted, was determined by a federal judge this week to have stayed in his temporary acting job longer than is allowed by law, but permitted him to effectively remain in the office of chief prosecutor, but with a different title of first assistant U.S. attorney. Assorted has previously served as a Republican Assemblyman in California, where he took up conservative causes and criticized the state's COVID-19 restrictions. Well, go figure. He has been outspoken against state policies to protect immigrants living in the country illegally. Okay, so policies that violate the law. And he has aggressively prosecuted people who protest Trump's ramped up. No, not the protests. People who broke the law. People who broke the law, AP. People who attacked cops, who threw objects. People who assaulted agents. Get the fuck out of here with your lies. As a private attorney, he characterized BLM as a radical organization. It is. They said they're trained Marxists. That is radical. At the time, city-sanctioned BLM murals have been painted on roadways and cities. Yeah. Assorted was quoted as telling reporters at the time that his clients were simply expressing their political viewpoints, that they disagreed with taxpayer funds being used to sponsor a radical Marxist organization. At the height of the Floyd-sparked reckoning on racial injustice, some state officials vowed their own investigations into the foundation's finances, citing their responsibility to protect residents who may have donated to BLM, but most of these probes were resolved without official action. Oh, they all got paid off. That's what happened. In 2022, Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita, no relation to Nick Rokita, filed a lawsuit against the BLM Foundation for failing to comply with an investigation into the organization's finances. Soon after, a representative of the foundation responded with the necessary information and documentation, and a spokesperson for the Attorney General's office said the lawsuit was dismissed. So somebody got a bag of money. Aaron Morrison and Eric Tucker. Next story is that the National Guard is to remain on patrol in D.C. through the end of February. Secretary of War, federal officials have extended the National Guard deployment in the district through February, canceling plans for roughly 2,400 troops to go home by the end of next month. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth ordered the extension until early next year. So guardsmen from the district, West Virginia, South Carolina, Ohio, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, can continue patrolling the streets of the nation's capital as a crime deterrent. That's right, a crime deterrent. You heard BLM moved to Spain? It's maybe. But the uniformed and armed troops have largely been seen on the National Mall in Georgetown and Union Station, touristy spots that seldom attract violent crime. Guardsmen instead have dedicated much of their time to trash pickup, graffiti removal, and food bank assistance. The White House originally extended the Guard's mission through the end of November. The National Guard's presence is the subject of a lawsuit filed by the D.C. Attorney General, Brian Schwab. Why does D.C. have an Attorney General? They don't need an Attorney General. Basically a city, and it shouldn't even have a city government. It's supposed to be managed, administered by Congress. They've argued the deployment for crime-fighting purposes is illegal. It's an involuntary military obligation. Well, you're just the District of Columbia. You're not a city. You're not a state. You have no power here. but the president maintains authority over the district given its status as a federal city. It's not even a federal city, it's a federal district. Which insulates Trump from judicial rulings that have blocked troop deployments in Chicago and Portland, which were also overreaching and illegal. Ultra virus. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee welcomed the Guard to Memphis. They reportedly expect the Guard to be needed for controlling unruly protests in the future. The Pentagon told the Guard in all 50 states and the district to prepare quick reaction forces who are trained in riot control. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is a federal city? It doesn't exist. That's why it's bullshit. The order said 500 troops in each state must receive the training. Okay, there you go. 500 troops in each state must receive the training. Must receive the training. Well. I'm going to do some of these. So the president and the Teamsters just demanded the Democrats vote to reopen the government. Put politics aside. Pass a clean CR now.
Took a position. I represent 1.3 million working men and women in this country for the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. We took a position 3 weeks ago. Pass a clean CR, get to the table, negotiate a deal. Do not put working people in the middle of a problem they should not be in there. And we got to think about the families that are going to be affected. Think about when you have to tell your son or daughter they can't play sports because you're not getting paid. Think about when you can't pay your mortgage. Think about when you can't pay your tuition. Put the politics aside, get to the table, negotiate a deal, pass a clean CR right now, and then figure out the problems moving forward. And I want to thank the air traffic controllers. I want to thank the aviation administration for all their hard work and sacrifice they make. And look, security and safety of the airlines is paramount. Let's not compromise the safety and security. Pass a clean CR. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Took a position. I represent.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. But according to Babylon, the Democrats vow to starve as many food stamp recipients as it takes to get free health care for illegal immigrants. Mm-hmm. About time a Teamster said something useful. Yeah. Yeah. Democrats vow to starve as many food stamp. What the fuck? Food stamp recipients as possible so they can get funding for free health care for illegal immigrants. That's right. Democrats have taken a bold stance by vowing to starve as many food stamp recipients as it takes to get free health care for illegal immigrants. According to the prominent Democrat leaders, starving a couple million kids and a small price to pay to ensure that blue states continue to provide free health care to illegal aliens. Well, if you're going to make an omelet, you got to crack a few eggs. And if you're going to give free health care to illegal immigrants, you've got to let some kids go hungry, said Cory Booker. Honestly, who cares? Kids can't vote. Plus, they're very resilient. They can dig around in some dumpsters or forage for berries or whatever. Cry harder. Wow. That Booker's statement's echoed by other intellectual pillars of the Democrat Party. Ocasio-Cortez says it's like not hard for kids to find food. There's stores like literally filled with food. Some food even grows in the ground, and the ground is everywhere. So technically, they can get food from anywhere. So it's just like dig the food out of the ground or whatever. At the publishing time, Democrats have vowed to personally go to grocery stores to filibuster poor people attempting to buy food. Oh, that's crazy. Fucking Democrats, man. This is literally insane. Food stamp spending was just $4.5 billion in December of 2019. By December of 2022, thanks to massive expansion by the Biden administration, food stamp spending was $11 billion per month. $11 billion per month feeding mainly illegals. Democrats dumped into America. A lot of new artificially subsidized demand. And guess what? In that same period, grocery prices went up. For some estimates, food prices go up by 1% every 12% increase in food stamp spending. In this case, we're looking at a percentage increase of nearly 150%. So if you do the math, it's more than a 10% increase in your grocery bill every single month. What this means is that you're a working American and you're not on food stamps, meaning you are a functioning citizen who's taking care of yourself and your own family. You're a functioning, contributing citizen. What this means is you're actually paying against your own will for other people's groceries twice. You're paying when the government takes money out of your paycheck, and then you're paying every time you buy groceries for yourself. Oh, wow. This guy's going to say this. Okay, I didn't know. It was someone
From
talking.
the Department of Agriculture. You can see there, monthly food stamp spending was just $4.5 billion in December of 2019. By December 2022, thanks to a massive expansion by the Biden administration, food stamp spending was $11 billion per month. That's a lot of new artificially subsidized demand. And guess what? In that same period, grocery prices went up. By some estimates, food prices go up by 1% for every 12% increase in food stamp spending. In this case, we're looking at a percentage increase of nearly 150%. So you can do the math on that. It's more than a 10% increase in your grocery bill every single month. And what this means is that if you're a working American and you're not on food stamps, meaning you are a functional citizen who is taking care of yourself and your own family, you are a functional, contributing citizen. What that means is you are actually paying, against your will, for other people's groceries twice. You're paying when the government takes the money out of your paycheck, and then you're paying again every time you buy groceries for yourself. So who exactly is benefiting from food stamps, and how much of the spending is actually necessary? So put another way, how many people would starve to death out on the street if food stamps were abolished? We all know that number is much, much less than the total number of food stamp recipients in this country. Does anyone think that 45 million people would starve if they didn't have an EBT card? Tens of millions of people across the country just dropping dead from starvation. Does anyone think that? So what is the number of people who actually need? Like would starve without it? 1%? 0? 5%? I mean, what's the number? 10? Now, if food stamps were abolished tomorrow, how many people exactly would be like lying on the sidewalk, rib cages protruding, starving to death? Of the 40 million people on food stamps, how many actually depend on it to live? Like that is the question. And these are questions we should probably answer now that we know the enormous cost of these programs, thanks to the government shutdown. And while we're at it, we should answer this question. Has anyone ever starved to death in the modern history of this country because they haven't had access to food? I mean, has that actually happened in this country? Has a single sane adult, okay, now we're not talking about kids who are victims of horrific abuse and those kinds of awful cases, in which case like food stamps are not solving that. Has any sane adult, through no fault of his own, shriveled and died because he couldn't afford to buy anything to eat? Has there been a single example of someone in modern America, someone who has no family, no friends, no other forms of state or federal welfare he can tap into, no food banks, no churches he can visit, no job, no soup kitchens nearby, no charity food drives in his area, nothing at all? So the point is that there are a bunch of lines of defense. Like when we deal with the question of, well, who should be feeding you, right? There are a lot of answers that come up. And the first person, ideally, who feeds you should be you. You should be feeding yourself if you're an adult. Who should feed your children? It should be you. Like that's the first. That's where we should go.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy, everybody. Wow, that's nuts. Well, everybody, unfortunately, we did not meet the goal tonight. So I'm gonna have to say goodnight to everybody. It's been 2.5 hours. We were $33 short. It is what it is. I want to thank everybody. Bella was happy to be on the TV and see everybody. We'll see you all Friday night, and we'll see where we go from there. Have a good evening, and I'll see you all tomorrow for Jim to tell you the news.